Hello everyone and welcome back to Prodigal Overland. My name's Brad. If you're new to this channel, let me be the first to welcome you. Today's video is all about the 5 things I wish I could change about my Jeep Grand Cherokee Trailhawk. So we've had about a year of full-time travel taking this Jeep out off-road. And I'm finally ready to list the 5 things that I wish were different about this. But before we get started, I want to give a shout out to Buddy and Becca, our very first Patreon members. If you haven't checked us out yet on Patreon, go ahead and look us up over there. I'll put a link for it up. Actually, no, the link will be down in the description below. Without further ado, let's get started with another over-the-top intro. If you haven't figured out, I have a lot of fun doing these. I hope you guys enjoy watching them. By far, on every video, most of my time and energy goes into these intros, so please enjoy. Just a little bit over the top. Let's get going. First of the 5 reasons. Very first thing that I wish was different about this Jeep is the plastic sump and plastic transmission covers that come standard from the factory. Now on the Trailhawk model, you do get skid plating. However, the skid plating only covers the gas tanks, the transfer case, and the front axle. What is not covered is the transmission or your oil pan area. That's the sump. Now, you can buy aftermarket products to get those covered. We are going to be getting some in from Chief because honestly, we are long overdue for them. I'm going to show you my sump here in just a minute, and the transmission, the plastic is most definitely cracked. We've had sticks and branches through them, we've hit it on rocks, and so we're actually probably quite fortunate that we haven't done any kind of damage to our Jeep. If you're considering taking it out off-road and you don't have any protection, you're gonna wanna invest in that. All right, so here we are. We're looking at the underside of my Jeep. This is the front of the Jeep. What you're seeing here is that plastic sump cover, a broken
plastic sump cover. You'll also notice quite a bit of mud, dried mud that's become kind of a cakey dirt. That's from Bridgeport OHV. But just want to show you guys this plastic piece. Like I said, this is obviously not steel, and it's fairly breakable. And your oil pan is sitting right up there, so it just leaves the oil pan very exposed. We do, like I said, have a skid plate or a plate coming in from Chief Products that will cover this sump area, and hopefully that'll take care of an issue. Here's the back of the Jeep. Those are the Mopar gas tank covers you see there next to the exhaust system. Kind of moving forward here. This is the transfer case steel cover. It's a Mopar piece. More dried dirt and mud from Bridgeport. This is why people, mudding's fun, but cleaning up after mudding is not always a good time. So I definitely, when I drop these plates here to install the new transfer or the transmission plate from Chief Products, I'll address some of that. But like I said, the transmission piece there is that center piece right here. It's plastic, and your transmission's right above that. So my sense is that should also be steel straight from the factory. Like I said, obviously you can buy aftermarket products, but for a trim level that's designed to be the off-road model, it seems like that should already have been addressed by Jeep. So anyway, that's the underside. That's what you're looking at.
Okay, the second thing that I wish I could change about this Jeep would be the breakover angle. If you don't know what the breakover angle on your Jeep is, that's kind of the angle between your two tires. And it tells you basically how much of an obstacle you can overcome once you get over it with your front tires. So where this kind of plays out practically speaking on the trail are situations where you have a steep incline followed immediately by a steep decline. We've had a situation out in Indiana where we got hung up. I'll put some of that footage in here.
Oh yeah, on his back.
You're touching, but you're just not.
Do you want me to put the Max Trax behind you?
This has also happened to us at Northwest OHV Park in Bridgeport, Texas, where we were scraping just because we didn't quite have the high enough angle to kind of cover it. Now, the Jeep Grand Cherokee's angle is just shy of 23 degrees, the breakover angle, which is respectable, but we still have certainly hit situations where we wish we had more. Things that you can do to your Jeep to improve the breakover angle would be increasing your tire size, which is going to give you a little bit more ground clearance, and also anything you can do to modify the suspension to give you a little bit more lift. Payload capacity. The payload capacity on my Jeep is 1,050 pounds. That's from the sticker on the Jeep. Now, when I do the math on this and look up the curb weight and try to figure out the numbers, I feel like it should be just a little bit more than that. But the sticker on my Jeep says 1,050 pounds. Now, what is included in that payload capacity is one person weighing 150 pounds. So they spot you a medium-sized driver. Okay, if you are traveling with your family and pets, and if you've added rock rails and a winch and extra skid plating and a roof rack and maybe even a rooftop tent or something like that, you are gonna quickly, and all the gear, you are gonna quickly hit your max on the payload capacity. So my feeling and my sense is if you were designing a Jeep for off-road purposes and you know that people are gonna add extra weight, skid plating, pack it down heavy, giving us more than 1,000 pounds of payload capacity should be addressed and would have been fantastic to be addressed. Things that we do to kind of mitigate some of that is if I can get weight out of my roof rack when we go out off-road, I do. But honestly, it's not like I can take off the skid plating or the rock rails, or would I? But we do try to get the weight out when we can, but it's very, very difficult if you're gonna use this and load this down for a camping trip, or certainly, I mean, we don't have a rooftop tent, and that's certainly part of the reason why we don't have a tent. Sorry, the wind here is crazy. I hope you guys can hear me. It is always windy here. I try to kind of pause in between the brakes and the wind, but so far that has not worked out well. So anyway, my feeling and my sense is that giving us an extra 500 pounds of payload capacity on this might go a long way. The fourth thing that I wish was a little bit different with this Jeep Grand Cherokee is, honestly, it's the Quadralift air suspension. Now I feel very torn about this because when the Quadralift air suspension is working in this, I love it. And it works about 95% of the time. We've had a few issues with it on mornings that it's been below freezing or it's been below 30 degrees overnight. And I'm not sure if there's moisture in there that's freezing that's kind of throwing this out of whack. But we did have an issue and needed to take it into the shop for them to look at. They basically recharged the system and weren't able to find anything wrong with it, and it's been fine since that time. But it's kind of something that lingers in the back of your mind, especially when you go out off-road and you know you're going to need that extra clearance. And so like I said, we've only had that one issue, but it just kind of sticks with you as something that doesn't make you feel so good. What I would love to see is an option, instead of the air suspension, for there to be an upgraded off-road suspension. So something that would be unique to the Trailhawk trim level, but would give you that clearance, that extra clearance that you get with a Trailhawk that isn't relying on that air suspension. That being said, like I said, when the air suspension is working, it's fantastic. What I would recommend doing is buying the extended warranty from Mopar if you go this way, so that you have that extra insurance if something happens with your air suspension system, because it's not a cheap fix when something does go wrong. And the fifth thing and the final thing that I wish was different about this Jeep is that rear bumper. If you've been watching our channel, you know we have struggled with this rear bumper for a while. And partly the reason for that, and I'll show you, is it's basically designed like a giant scoop on the back of your Jeep. So if you go through mud in it, if you go through sand in it, if you are, I mean, rocks kind of, but honestly, I think the very first time we got in trouble with this was going through some mud and some mud holes, and you're trying to power through that mud, and you've got basically a giant scoop on the back of your Jeep, and something's going to give. And since this is mostly just plastic, that's what gives. What finally did us in was over at the sand dunes, going up at Silver Lake Sand Dunes in Michigan. Going up there, we hit some sand going pretty fast, and that took care of it. Now, I've done things as far as gluing it back on, epoxying it back together, and we do have we have the rear bumper guards coming out from Chief Products. Hopefully they'll be here soon and we can kind of address that issue. But again, seeing as how the Jeep Grand Cherokee Trailhawk trim level is designed to go out off-road, those would be something that should be something that's addressed and fixed.
So this is definitely one of my favorite shots with the Jeep going through mud. Mud, like I said, looks incredible if it's filmed right and done right. But this is also, I'm pretty sure, where I first wrecked the bumper. After this, I kind of tore those, and I'll show you here in a minute, the bottom connection points tore at this point. Here is Silver Lake Sand Dunes going up the dunes. This is the section that kind of finished off the bumper. You can see it pop off right about there, and it's just sort of hanging. So again, the rear bumper is just kind of like a scoop in those situations. So here we are looking under the underside of my Jeep. You have this big open area here, and then swing towards the back. There's the two mounts. These, like I said, I broke through mud. That didn't happen on the sand dunes. That was already cracked. Tried to epoxy it here a little bit. I've tried gluing them. You can get a replacement piece. This section cost about $200, which I'd rather try to fix than pay $200 just to get a plastic piece that might wreck again. So this whole area, though, when you're going through sand or mud, it like I said, if your rear end's dragging through those surfaces, it just wants to kind of rip everything off. Again, you can get an aftermarket product. You can obviously replace the whole bumper. Chief Products makes a rear bumper guard that will actually go over our exhaust and over this section here in the middle that's cracked, and should eliminate kind of that scooping effect that comes with your Jeep. So again, this, in my sense and my feeling, should be different.
So there you go, guys. 5 things that I would change with my Jeep Grand Cherokee Trailhawk. If you've got something you wish was different, leave it in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you haven't yet subscribed, please, please, please hit that subscribe button. Give us a thumbs up if you like it, and we will see you guys again real soon.
Like, some people don't even know that you exist.
Well, that's too bad.
Do you like doing water?
What? No.
Yes, you do.
What?
Go fast through the water. Go fast through the water.
Yeah, I prefer it on mud.
Muddy water. Yeah, you like that, huh?
Yeah, because then you have to stop.
You gonna look at everybody and say, "Hey, everybody!"
Okay, you put this away. You just asked me to put everything away.